Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Podcast 19. We're really kind of punching the numbers these days. As always, I'm Sean, John, or Yaka, depends who the hell you're asking.
I'm Chris.
And your voice, your nation, this is the Blue Collar Workers. Thank you for coming back. We deeply appreciate it. We always appreciate our subscribers. We're now at 393.
Oh, almost at that 400 mark.
Nearly there, 400. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe. And please hit that subscription button if you like what you see. And if you're a return viewer, we deeply appreciate it. The more we have, the more time we can plough towards this podcast. Anyway, let's get on to the important stuff. Today, I've got on my side of the table UK train scandals, timetables from the iPaper about the extent of how bad our timetabling has changed in the trains. The BBC broadcaster, I better refer to them nowadays, and this is my own personal opinion, as the sex predators and child molesters television, because it is now a pandemical problem that we have. Every other year we have another sex predator popping out of the fucking BBC, and that needs to be discussed. Prince Andrew's firm linked to controversial PPE millionaire. When is this fucking man going to retire and get out of the public sphere? Because every time he's mentioned, it's bad news. Literally bad news. And last but not least, on my side, the police and prosecution details shared with Israel during UK protests. On Chris's side?
On my side today, we've got the trans judge to challenge the ruling on Supreme Court on what the definition of a biological woman. Interesting, I'm going to say. Stammer challenged overpassed the position of definition of a woman. Sex offenders denied asylum rights. Quite right, to be honest. I don't know why that's even a discussion.
Took its fucking time.
Yeah, took its time. And Tony Blair on the new net zero policy. He says it's doomed to fail.
Yeah. You know what? We're going to start with that last one because, quite frankly, I think that Tony Blair should not be ever speaking on matters of public affairs. The scary thing is I actually agree with the statement he's made. Mm-hmm. I agree with the statement he's made, but that man is a war criminal. He created the Iraq war looking for weapons of mass destruction that didn't exist.
And he's a sir.
Why the fuck is he even, one, a knight, two, allowed to speak on public opinions? But yes, the net zero was never going to work because the reality is our green tech is not advancing fast enough for us to switch off by 2030. Yes, that means we are going to suffer some global warming problems. We all know that's going to happen. Your view?
I'm just going to literally quickly read the article. It says Sir Tony Blair has called a major rethink of the net zero policies, arguing that limiting energy consumption and fossil fuel production is doomed to fail. And a report from the former Labour Prime Minister says voters feel they're being asked to make financial sacrifices and changes in lifestyle when they know the impact on global emissions is minimal. He does not call for the Labour to halt its push to decarbonise the UK economy, but says all governments need to rethink their approach as it is not working. The Tories, who have joined the Reform UK in opposing net zero emissions by 2050, urged Labour to end the mad dash to this goal, but Downing Street says it will not be changing course.
I think Downing Street's putting on a brave face because the writing is on the wall for the net zero. Now, I'm not prescribing that the fossil fuels are a good thing. I am trying to state as a liberal that the technology isn't there to replace it yet.
We haven't got to the stage where it can completely take over.
Yeah, that's our problem. Electric cars are not there. We don't have the power grid to run electric cars on the level we need.
Power grid needs to start off with everything.
Like I said, these micro reactors that 𝐾𝐨𝐧'𝐭 is banging on about recently. If they work, cool. I'm sceptical the man hasn't achieved a worthwhile thing domestically yet. So I'm cynical that he's going to pull that off. But if he does get these micro-nuclear reactors running, fantastic. Then we have the energy grid to lock in the electric cars. Then we can decarbonise as we have electric cars, electric trucks. Let's not use Elon Musk. Let's build our own European...
Elon Musk's company's falling apart in America anyway, so there's no point. I've watched his stock go...
Yeah, no. To be fair, the Tesla is falling apart. We need European electric-driven vehicles. We need to invest heavily in those things on a governmental level of investment. I think after we have the restored power grid from nuclear energy, which, regardless what what the green fanatics say, is a greener technology than fossil fuel. It is physically greener.
They're more scared of the fact of if the nuclear reactor goes kaboom. That's what they're scared of.
We have, I think it's like 26 or 27 nuclear reactors in Europe. We've only had 2 scares in our lifetime, in mine and your lifetime.
Only 2, and the technologies are always
and those were when we were kids. That was when me and you were kids.
I remember one of them, yeah.
The Chernobyl, you would have been a teenager.
Yeah.
And the prior one to that, I think, was during the Soviet Union. Although that was the Chernobyl, I can't remember. But there's only been like 1 or 2 incidences in the European technological market of nuclear reactors. So the idea that we're going to have a problem... Remember, the next memorable one is the one in Japan. Yeah. We can name the nuclear problems. We can name them. That's how fucking rare they are. They're so rare, it's unbelievably rare. I genuinely believe, knee-jerk reactionary, we need to just invest massive amounts in nuclear infrastructure. And the reason that net zero is unachievable at the moment is because we lack infrastructural capacity to run the electrical cars to do the job. Labour's going about it arse foot. They want to chase down the punishing the cars and the financial means of the British people, and that dirty bastard Tony Blair makes my skin crawl. War criminal Blair, he is partially right, because we don't have the infrastructure, and the Prime Minister needs to put his foot down on the fucking infrastructure first before we then fix the issue.
So yeah, literally, only way is to improve the electrical grid system.
So then we can move to electric cars.
Which needs a radical investment in technology, whether that's nuclear, solar, wind, I reckon.
All of it, do fucking all of it.
Is it tidal?
Tidal, yeah.
All 4 just need heavy investment.
Yeah.
As soon as they're all up to code and scratch, we can have that plastered up the country, and we won't have to
you could put 10 billion in solar, wind and tidal, and that would take a huge chunk of the weight off of our shoulders. But nuclear requires hundreds of billions. Let's not kid ourselves here. Nuclear energy infrastructure is very, very, very expensive. But once it's up and running, Britain, your electric bills get kicked to the curb for like ever. That's the thing about nuclear reactors. They last mine and Chris's lifetime. We've still got, I think, two. I don't know. Is it 2 or 3 nuclear reactors in Britain? It might be less. Let me quickly Google that.
So have we still got the Berkeley reactor?
In the UK.
Because that's the one just off the 7, isn't the Berkeley one?
There are 9 operational nuclear reactors according to the World Nuclear Association. These reactors are spread across 5 power station sites. The Dungeys B, Hartlepool, Haysom, Hinkley Point B, Huntsam B, and Sizewell B. You see, now this is important to mention. When you mention the word B, that means the A reactors have come offline. Because a lot of these have lost their A reactors. They're now shifting towards their B reactors. So we have 9 nuclear reactors already in the country. And these are the old style nuclear reactors. We realistically do. They all need renewing, the whole bloody lot of them. It's important note to make that many of these reactors are nearing the end of their operational lives, with some already decommissioned or scheduled to be decommissioned in the coming years. The UK government is also investing in new nuclear power stations to replace the capacity lost but to the old reactors and are retired, with the goal of making nuclear power a cornerstone of country energy policy. This is something that I happen to agree with as a Liberal, that the Tories are on board and so are the Labour. The nuclear power is an unquestionable need because the amount of energy you get from the nuclear plutonium is so much cheaper than any type of fossil fuel. So much. But the infrastructure has to be built, and it can't be cheap about it.
No, all those safety precautions, because if it goes wrong, it goes wrong bad.
Oh, of course, absolutely. But as I said, there's only like 2 reactors I can think of in history. Yeah. The Japanese one and Chernobyl.
So they're still not quite safe to live on.
No, you can't live in Chernobyl. The Chernobyl nuclear reactor area is still it's still fucking dangerous to this day. It's in Ukraine right now. Nuclear disasters have there been from reactors? That your phone kicking off? 2 reactor accidents of significant radiation. Chernobyl disaster and the Fukushima disaster. 2 in the entire history of human nuclear reactors. And we've had reactors I think since the 50s.
Yeah, usually the 50s.
Since the 50s. We've had nuclear reactors since the 50s. So nearly going on a century, we've had 2 radiative accidents. That's it. I think the world needs to get over its fear of nuclear reactors from nuclear bombs. Because that's where it comes from. It comes from our parents' generation.
They're associating the two.
Yeah, which they're not. They're just not. They're, relatively speaking, you have more chance of dying in a car crash, dying in a plane crash, than you do mathematically of dying from nuclear radiation.
I think you have more chance of getting struck by lightning than dying from a nuclear reactor, do you? Or is it very close?
The struck by lightning thing is always overused, so I don't tend to use it, but it might be that case. I tend to use the thing that there is better chance of you getting hit by a car. It's a very real...
Yeah, the amount of near misses I've had.
Yeah, do you know what I'm saying? I've seen you driving too, so I'm not surprised.
No, my driving's a different matter.
Very, very true. Anyway, moving on. UK trains scandals. Timetables from the iPaper. So take it and we'll leave it what you think, so we're going to give you our opinions. Recorded data shows significant chaos in UK rails, with a high number of train cancellations and delays. Avon West Coast, in particular, has experienced a high percentage of delayed trains. Passengers are reporting increased delays and cancellations, especially on weekends and Sundays, where the schedule is already reduced compared to weekdays. These issues are impacting travel places and causing friction. It's madness. It's absolute fucking madness. The train systems are being milked as money systems with no intent of building infrastructure into them. One of the key factors that the train systems, and one of the reasons why I agree with nationalising the entire train system, is because of the failure of the companies. They do not want to do anything.
They're only in it for one thing.
Yeah, of course.
That's it.
Of course. Avon West Coast, the Daily Express, so this is from another newspaper, reports that the Avon West Coast has experienced a significant number of delays, with almost 60% of their trains delayed in 2025.
That's disgusting.
Fucking 60%.
As
Why the fuck are they still a private company? Why haven't they been nationalised? Why aren't we knocking off these train companies like it's Assassin's Creed? Bang! Because they're fucking useless. They're absolutely fucking useless. I know, I apologise to use an Assassin's Creed kind of joke, but it'll work with the younger generation, and it'll work with you.
Will, yeah.
Do you know, I'm serious. We should treat these. We should genuinely treat these train companies and these power companies and these water companies like they're the fucking Illuminati. You pop the fuckers off. Because they're useless.
Tin cans on a fence. Bang, bang, bang.
I'm talking about an industrial level. I'm not on about actually killing people. A'udhu billah. I'm referring towards treating their companies as if you were an Assassin's Creed. Because you know someone will fucking say something.
Oh, yeah, someone will take it the wrong way.
Yeah, absolutely. Passenger impact. The disruption has been significantly consequences for passengers, including delays, cancellations, and potential disruption of the planet system. The P code, they have a system inside the thing called a P code. The report from the Times mentions a P code, or pre-cancellation, which allows trains to be delayed from the timetable to up to 10 p.m. the night before. Like, they got a fucking system for deleting fucking trains.
That should not be deleting trains. Seriously, freaking nationalise the shit and then bring in the Japan people to sort out our fucking rail.
We said this in podcast 12 or 13?
12, 13, yeah.
About the fact of bring in the Japanese experts. Bring them in, round up all the illegal migrants, get them to rebuild the fucking rail system. Job done. Job done.
It'd be cheaper transported too.
Fucking just... It boggles my brain that people actually engage in this kind of fuckery. It's why are we allowing these companies to continue to operate whilst they are having such an enormous impact on our society? It does. It boggles my brain.
The only time I seem to notice they actually do any sort of work to the rail system is when it's going to affect their massive line of their pocket. That's it.
Yeah, it's a joke. It's a fucking joke. It's just, and the fact that the Times has found out that they have a fucking P code, a pre-cancellation code that they have for all their lives, and from what I read from the Times, it affects all trains. All the train companies have a P code, version of the P code.
That's disgusting.
Not just Avon West, because I'm kind of picking on Avon West because they're a big part of the news right at the moment, straight out of the iPaper. But this should give you a very clear indication of how bad our train system is, and this should justify a full-scale nationalisation. And the shareholders should get nothing, Stemmer. They have fucked our country. Nothing.
The only time shareholders should get anything is when it's actually doing the public
when it's doing its job.
Yeah, a service. That means affordable travel, reliable travel, no sodding cancellations. If it's cancellation, immediate refund of all the fucking money instead of leaving them ditched on the fucking curb.
It's a nightmare, absolute fucking nightmare, because you end up getting stuffed into coaches in the train system.
Yeah, what's the fucking point in that? Oh, I booked a train, hang on, you're on a coach. Then why didn't I buy a fucking coach?
Because the coach would have been cheaper than the train ticket.
It friggin' would have been as well.
Cheaper than the fucking train ticket.
I think a taxi would have been cheaper than a train ticket at the moment.
I fundamentally find, why the fuck are we still maintaining the illusion that these companies are in for our best interest? That are just, boggling. What you got next, my big man?
I'll go from bottom up since we started that way. Sex offenders denied asylum rights. Fucking
about time!
Right. I don't know why the fuck they're in the country anyway.
No. Question to the 14 years of Tories. Why wasn't that done during your time period? For the reformists, why weren't you complaining about it during Tory government? Just a small kind of conversational point here. For the Ramonas that are about to be voting today, for the Ramonas, and I want to make myself very clear to you, was this raised during the 14 years of Tories? Yeah? Tories! Yeah? Why weren't they banned then?
Very good point. Migrants convicted of sexual offences. Oh, friggin' damn internet. Sexual offences will be unable to claim asylum in the UK under a change of law aimed at tightening border security. Oh, fucking now they're doing something.
Because they're not the Tories.
Yeah. Under the refugee conviction, countries can refuse asylum to somebody such as war criminals and to those who have committed a particular serious crime who present a danger to the community. About time it's recognised that it's a dangerous community and say, come on in and just have your way.
You see, the problem being here, I believe in sensible migration. I genuinely do. Sensible, affordable, because we have a birth deficit. I've said this before in multiple podcasts. We do not have the population to maintain our industrial nation without migration. Sensible migration. I'm not anti-immigrant, not in the slightest. But this should have been done more than a decade ago.
It should be done straight off the bat. Currently in the UK, this is categorised as a criminal handed a prison sentence of 1 year or more. But ministers are seeking to update this to include that anyone convicted of a crime in the UK which places them on the sexual offenders register, regardless of the length of their sentence, will be denied refugee status. It is not clear how many cases it could affect or the number of the claims previously granted. A Home Office source said instances like that of Chaplin chemical attack, I can't even pronounce that name, Abdul. I have no idea.
Where?
There.
Abdul
Enroll, yeah. Who was granted asylum despite being a convicted sex offender.
Should never been given in the country.
Would be a type of ministers wanted to tackle.
Should never been. When was he given asylum? Can you look it up? I bet you that was under the Tory government. Let's have a look. Let's have a small moment, a bit of a Google, shall we, my noble people, and find out if that man was granted his asylum during Tory government, because this is going to be a fucking eye-opener for you.
It's Google, because Google tends to be a bit more.
Because I'm telling you, this is going to be an interesting question to have. When was the man granted asylum? Because this tells you the bullshit that comes out of the Tories' mouths of how much they don't actually give a fuck about migration. And it does. It boggles me.
First, I've seen unnecessary.
Who was granted asylum? When was he granted asylum? So that's to go. When was he granted asylum is when you want to ask. Because once we know when he was granted asylum, we can tell the time frame. 2020.
2020, yeah.
Under a Tory government. Unfucking Rishi fucking was it Rishi Sunak in 2020? I'm pretty sure it was Rishi Sunak in 2020. Fuck me sideways.
Actually, yeah. Or was it the donut before him?
I'm pretty sure it's Sunak. No, Truss was briefly. No. It was no. Boris fucking Johnson. Of course, bumbling fucking Johnson. This kind of tells you everything, Tories. This tells you everything. Boris Johnson's government gave this fucking sex offender asylum. Why are you blaming us on the left and the centre for the shit done by your own side?
I personally think if you commit any sort of crime and you come to seek asylum, you're immediately denied.
No, because that's dangerous. If you let's
serious crime, bear in mind.
Well, okay, then that's more good. Because if crime, we're talking about thieving for food. We're talking about trying to stop starving.
Case, I'll turn around and go, right, it's theft you've been charged of. Okay, I'll let you in, but you more than say 5 instances of theft, you're back.
Yeah. You know that's fair. That's a fair point of view because stealing for food when you're hungry, you have no way of being able to feed yourself. That's a defendable position. Do you know what I'm saying? We need to feed people. Stealing for food, water, stuff like that. We're not talking serious crimes here. We're talking about you have to be careful about
minor crimes.
Minor crimes. You have to be careful because serious crimes. No one who's been a serious criminal. I don't consider crossing a border to be a serious crime. I generally don't. When you're coming to seek asylum, when there's no other way you can seek asylum except crossing the border into the UK, that's a minor crime. I have crossed illegally because I can't cross lawfully to seek asylum. That's a minor crime. So I'm seeking asylum, but I'm having to break the fucking law to do it. That's a problem because Britain doesn't have any external means for people to seek asylum. For you to seek asylum in the UK, if you were a foreigner seeking asylum in Britain, you have to be stood on British soil. But you can't get here.
I thought that's what embassies were for.
No. The Tories took that away.
Did they remove that?
Yeah.
Oh, fucking morons. That would have controlled the fucking goddamn people crossing the border.
You could have lowered the illegal people if have channels to lawfully seek asylum in Europe would have required the Tories to make a treaty with the Europeans. They didn't want to.
I would have done that straight away because
they stuck their head in the fucking sand.
That would have controlled your immigration really well.
People would have gone to these embassies, gone to these places to seek asylum rather than going to the illegal boats, which are fucking dangerous.
Yeah, because then they could have turned around. You could have done all the checks before they even got in the country, and then got literally minor criminal. Right, in that case, you want to come in, you sign this piece of paper, you commit so many acts. Again, you're out.
That you've got to be reasonable with that. That's going to be like a possible.
And then serious crime, bugger off.
Of course, absolutely.
And then you could turn around and then install a border security on the sea around the UK. And my personal favourite, if they try to shoot a hole in their boat and then transport them back, not shoot the people, shoot the boat. Yeah, because then you have to drag them out the water and then you can take them back yourself. That way it controls it even more without taking human lives.
Do you see, this is the fundamental problem. The government has made very little all the governments have made very little investment in coast guards, in coastal defences, in coastal policing. On top of the fact of having a control over legal migration, we are legally obliged to acknowledge that we have to take asylums. If someone's fleeing from danger, they want to seek asylum in Britain, we are lawfully, by international law, required to give them asylum. But we have no asylum outlet anywhere in the fucking world except on British soil. So we are encouraging illegal transportation. That is a cynical opinion that I believe that people
I can understand that.
I generally think that the previous Home Secretaries did that deliberately to physically weaponise the migration question.
Because if you have an embassy on the main points which people cross, which they can then go to,
or consulate, I think consulates
consulates, a place where they can turn around and seek asylum outside of the country. So before they even get onto our mainland, you would cut the criminal transportation probably by half. Yeah, because then you could just turn around, invest in Coast Guard, so they've got better security. Then that way they'll be able to catch the boats better, because in fact there'll be fewer of them coming across, and then you can then transport the people that are trying to get asylum to the places where you say you need to do it through here first, therefore controlling what you've got coming in 100% better. Absolutely, because if a consulate agrees to grant them asylum, they're then housed at the consulate style, proper transportation, and then you have the British government, then transport them in, fulfilling your obligation as an asylum-seeking nation, international law, providing asylum for those who need asylum, cutting down on the criminal elements because you've also got a policing system that's better,
because you've increased your coast guards, you've increased your border patrols, and increasing the border patrols will cut down the drugs. We've previously said in the previous podcast about drug smugglers dropping drugs in water, and there aren't enough boats as it is outside, patrol boats, to patrol for fucking illegal immigrants, let alone for the drug money.
So think how much that is. Say, how many boats we got at the moment?
I think there's less than like 20.
Less than 20.
Covering our country, I think.
Covering our 20 boats covering our country.
20 patrol boats. Let me have a look.
You need at least 100 in my book.
Guard in the UK. My apologies, 8.
8. Freaking out. I reckon at least between 50 to 100 boats patrolling that bloody water. I'm sorry.
8. But HMS 𝐶𝐭, HMS Vigilant, HMS Valiant, HMS Protector, HMS Nimrod.
That's fine with them.
8 in total.
Yeah.
Border Force cutters. Fucking joke, mate.
I'll be hitting that into the 50s straight off the bat.
And most of those are from pre-war, Second World War designs. They're not even modern ones.
Need to up that massively.
No. Just
think how much of that border there is, and you only got 8.
Yeah,
8.
Yeah, because it's money. It's a money thing.
I don't give a shit. Called tax the fucking companies, and you'll have to fucking got that money to do so.
Most of our fast patrol vehicles are now over 20 years old. The last one we built was 2001.
That's disgusting.
That gives you a very, very clear indication. And most boats end their lives in the 20 to 25 zone. So we, again, like our nuclear reactors, our patrol boats are about to fall apart. And I think that's an important point to mention, Britain. We only have 8 of the fucking things listed out there at the moment.
Say, for example, you have 50 boats, yeah? You can then turn around and have 25 on land, ready to go, as I call backups. Then you've got 25 on patrol.
No, you see, you wouldn't. I'd leave the 25 on patrol and then have 20 and have 10 as backup and have another 15 searching for fucking criminal drugs. And the other thing, you know what I'm saying? You'd have the bulk of them on the channel. You would. You'd have the bulk.
I'll go 30, 10, 10.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. 30, because then you've got 10 boats in reserve. Because then if one gets damaged...
Oh, I apologise. The Island class, the HMS Sentinel, was built in 2013.
Oh.
That's pretty new. Fucking Jesus.
30 doing, obviously, coastal patrol. 10 searching out those drug idiots. And then you've got 10 on reserve, so if one gets damaged, another one comes out, that gets fixed, and then if another one damaged, it then goes out again.
So, the 25mm catamarans have been transferred from the offshore wind support vehicles. They've moved just recently 4 of them, the Hurricane, Typhoon, Ranger and Defender, physically into the Border Force in 2021. So there's more than 8. There's 8 original dedicated cutters.
Yeah. And then they've got
the 25mm catamarans. Which are also part of the border patrol, but that's basically what a board boat looks like. It's tiny.
It's tiny, yeah. But if they're tiny, that means they should be easy to produce.
They not only should be easy to produce, they're easy to afford, mate.
Yeah.
But then when you're looking at the 𝐶𝐭, that's the capital ship of them. That's a proper cutter. It's actually a proper boat. I know you can't see this on the podcast, but as we're discussing it, it's like a massive...
Google it. It's actually a proper boat.
But the 𝐶𝐭 is due to be decommissioned in 2025.
No, I'd refurb that and send it back out.
You can't.
Can you not?
No, it's been refurbed 3 times.
That's it.
They need to replace it. You can't keep refurbing these ships. They float on water.
Strip it for parts, use it on the next one. You got to think recycle.
The HMS 𝐶𝐭 has been in port for the last 6 years.
Damn.
For the most of the time, but it's mostly used for communication. So it's basically a floating communication hub.
But although that I can understand being in a port, because the fact it needs a stable signal to keep everything going.
But yeah, that's a disaster. It's been refitted 3 times. We need to replace all of this for the good of the... It can
probably be done once more, then that's it.
I don't even think it can do that. It's supposed to be retired this year, theoretically. Touch wood, theoretically. So British Coast Guard we're talking about. That was yours, wasn't it? So this is mine. BBC, the broadcaster of sex predators and child molesters. refused to comment on the most recent sex predator, Greg Wallace, from the Master Chief on BBC One. This is a running track record of the failed broadcasting station that demands money from TV licenses that no one uses anymore since we've been streaming these days. I've done a deep dive into this. This is a running thing of the BBC. The BBC has sex predator after child molester, after sex predator, after inappropriate relationships individuals, again, ad fucking nauseam.
Why is it always of the sexual nature with the BBC?
It's the BBC. It's entirely the BBC. And I fundamentally believe that this shit needs to be called out now. Because they get a free load. Oh, we're all shocked. How the fuck are you all shocked? You had Jimmy fucking Savile. How are you all shocked?
Let's put it even more into concept. Your TV licence, which pays for basically the BBC, is basically funding sexual offenders.
And kiddie fiddlers. Jimmy Savile, Stuart Hall were allowed to operate in the BBC with impunity between 1959 and 2006.
Stemmer, you need to turn around and kick the TV licence to the fucking curb to stick the middle finger up to the BBC.
The BBC needs their licence cut, they need to be restructured, and they need all the kiddie fiddlers thrown out.
Who actually watches the BBC these days?
The news. For a news channel, yeah. I look at it for a news channel.
Apart from news, yeah. But every other country I've gone to, the standard local channels, you do not need a licence for.
Yeah, no.
Why the fuck are we paying for one?
It's madness. But then I want to go further than that, yeah? In 2016, the next predator is Philip Schofield, who presented a TV child show and then was involved with a very young man. No, he wasn't. No, he was legal. He was legal. But so grossly inappropriate that you're presenting a TV show whilst being involved, and I think he was just legally 18, 19, so he's a teenager.
Damn. Just approaching it. How old's Philip Schofield?
50.
Fuck.
It's like me and you dating a teenager. Like, we get shit for that anyway. We get shit, but that, we're not presenting a fucking TV show for children.
Men in general, anything more than 10 years younger, we get shit for anyway.
Yeah, of course. Now, if this was just a relationship and Phil Schofield was not a TV presenter to small children, there'd be less backlash on this. There really would.
It'd just be a case of, we don't approve of that, but carry on.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because obviously, it's a much younger man. There would be the general social contract of Britain. And that's because it's an older gentleman with a younger person, a more vulnerable younger person. And it was a position of power and authority. He was the TV fucking presenter for a TV show. For children. For fucking children.
That's not setting an example.
Jesus Christ. And I hate to bring up Schofield because he's the lesser of all these evils. He really is. So let me be very, very clear. Schofield is the minor bit. He's just in the right chronological time frame as I wanted to put this forward. We got ex-BBC presenters Tony and Julie Wadsworth jailed for sex offenders.
What on earth did they present?
I don't remember. BBC presenter Tony and Julie Wadsworth jailed for sex offenders.
Interesting.
Then let's not forget the disgraced BBC News presenter 𝐬𝐮 Edwards, who was convicted for child fucking pornography on his computer. Daoud Billah. Tony and Julie Wadsworth. I don't know what they were presenting. They look like they look like that, don't they? they look like nonsense. But as I'm trying to get, you've got the disgraced presenter 𝐬𝐮 Edwards, who has been given 6 months prison sentence, suspended for 2 years after he admitted charges of making indecent images of children. When I say honestly, we are going to criminally investigate the whole bloody board of catering. The whole BBC needs to be investigated. The whole board, because the same people who are running it from the fucking Jimmy Savile days are the same people who are still running it today. This is the crazy fucking thing.
BBC West Midlands and BBC Radio Leicester.
Yeah. It's a BBC. It's the BBC. It's the fucking news channel of kiddie fiddlers. I don't care if the BBC's offended by that. Your track record says it.
Track record speaks for itself.
Absolutely.
You need to do more thorough investigation into
your
the fuck you're right.
It's unquestionable that the BBC was a noble institution, and it does have a noble path. It is a very impartial news group. Let's round this off for what we support of the BBC. The problem being is, every other fucking year, some sex predator or some child molester is popping out of the woodworks from the news presenters, from the show hosts, from the radio hosts. From Jimmy fucking Savile. I know that's old. That's digging up the dead, but he's the start of this. And how many of the executors and directors of the BBC are still there from Savile's days? I'd be surprised if there are more than half the board are bloody from Savile's time period.
To be quite honest, if I was a businessman and I owned that thing and I found out that half the board knew about Jimmy Savile, I'd fire the fucking lot.
Yeah,
I don't want to give a shit. I'd be like, did you know? Yeah, you fired. Did you know? Yeah, no, you fired. You fired. You fired. Get out.
This is the point, because like I said, they operate with the BBC with impunity. A damning report from 2016. The 2016 report says that elements of the BBC's leadership knew that Jimmy Savile was up to dirty deeds. Not to the extent of it, admittedly, but they knew he was up. If
you knew something was going on, you should have turned around and sorted it straight the hell out, without letting it go the fuck on.
I mean, and then we got Hugh Edwards. So the reason I bring this up is because just recently, Greg Wallace, the Master Chef, was done for indecent approach towards BBC chefs. You see, this is a running theme, BBC, a fucking running theme that you genuinely need to fix. You have a systemic culture of these type of people that are drawn to your news presenting, your presenters, your individuals. Schofield, like I said, for the last pretty much 20 years, we have something coming out of the woodwork every 2, 3, 5 years. It's becoming a fucking joke. You need a purge at your entire upper level and a zero tolerance on all elements therein.
It's the only way it'll work.
Oh yeah, you've got to scorch earth on the entire upper establishment. Yeah. Scorch it entirely.
Scorch it, flush it, start anew.
Yeah.
And turn around and stop with your fucking TV licence and get rid of your shit out of the court so we get fined and potentially jailed because we don't pay for it.
Because almost none of us use it anymore. I mean, that's the thing. 90% of the country's streaming these days. Next one for you? Or are you done?
No, next one is Stammer challenged over past position of the definition on a woman. Yes, get into the interesting topics now.
Oh my days.
Where's it start? Where'd it go?
I don't know, you tell me.
Yeah, there.
Bennock challenged Stammer at
PMQs over the past position of definition of woman. Well, I'm sorry, Stammer, but you landed yourself in a fucking goddamn...
He's wishy-washy, he always has been.
But literally... I'm trying to find it now, I did have it earlier. Where the fuck did it go? There we go. Bannock accused Prime Minister of refusing to accept he was wrong for previously saying it was law that trans women are women, following the Supreme Court's reaction ruling on the definition of a woman. Let's click on the link, it may actually bring me to it. There we go. Consecutive leader 𝐬𝐻...
Conservative, not
Conservative leader 𝐬𝐻 Bannock focuses her questioning on last week's Supreme Court ruling that a woman is defined by biological sex under equality law. Bannock asked, does the Prime Minister now accept that when he said it was the law that trans women were women, that he was wrong? For context, in March 2022, when Stammer was a leader of the opposition, he told the Times that a woman is a female adult, and in addition to that, trans women are women, and that it is not just my view, that is the actual law. That was an actual statement from Stammer, and he's been called out on it. And I don't even think he's actually responded to that yet.
To be fair, I'm not surprised, because Stammer has always been a two-faced so-and-so. The man cannot be trusted. Like, it took him a week to come out. We had a previous podcast talking about this. It took him a week before he ruled, oh yes, we absolutely support what the Supreme Court... He's a lying bastard. He's an absolute lying bastard. And not only are there elements of his own cabinet that want to challenge the ruling, we've now got this, you were mentioned about that judge.
Yeah, we're going to judge in a minute. Just trying to find out a bit more.
I find it kind of peculiar that Keir Starmer's approach has changed so radically in such a short time. Did you say 2020 or 2022? It was 2020, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So in 2 years, his approach has apparently radically changed. No, the politics has radically changed. The court has agreed with the general populace's approach that it's nonsense that trans women are real women.
Kemi Blanche labelled Sir Keir Starmer a weather vane who twists in the wind, as she claimed he does not have the balls to express his views on gender. The Conservative Party leader
Ouch.
stepped up her attack on the Prime Minister, also accusing Labour ministers of lying about support for female-only spaces following Keir Starmer's U-turn on his views about transgender women.
Ooh. I happen to agree with that. I'm not even a fan of Kemi. This is the problem. I'm not a fan of the Conservative leader. Genuinely, because I don't think she has a backbone when it comes towards dealing with some of the really difficult problems in our country involving tax, involving reforming the tax issues. I don't think she has the spine to actually fix the country. And to fix the country, you have to make some radical fucking choices. And I don't think she's got them. But on this subject, she's on the nail.
I see. Sir Keir, who has previously said trans women are women, welcomed the Supreme Court ruling, as it said it is time now to lower the temperature of the transgender debate. Not just lower the temperature, kick it to the southern side of the table.
I fundamentally find that if you want to be a trans woman, cool. They should have their own space. They should genuinely have their own space.
You're entitled to your own space. Don't go invading something which is already there.
The biological women's space has been invaded and it needs to be protected. And that's the point of cause that we have.
Yeah.
And I fundamentally do have a problem with how this transgender judge is looking to take us to the Supreme Court of Europe. And the reason I have a problem with this is because it could be the end of the nail that puts the coffin in the Supreme Court of Europe, which does genuinely protect the legal rights of European people and British people here in the UK, which we are still a signatory to, which is a scary position to be in, because the political class might all agree to tell the European court to fuck off, and they're very close to that as it is.
I say, but that's literally it on the Stemmer thing, because it's only a very short one. Go to you and then we'll cover the trans.
No, let's carry on with that. Let's carry on with that.
Okay. UK's first transgender plans human rights challenge the Supreme Court gender ruling the definition of woman is biological. This is going to be a juicy one, I can tell you now. Oh, for crying out loud.
It's the fundamental is that
Britain's first transgender judge is planning to take the government to the European Court of Human Rights over the Supreme Court landmark biological sex ruling. Victoria McLeod, who stepped down last year after making a series of controversial statements, claimed the judgment violated her human rights, and left her feeling contained and segregated. It comes after an unanimous Supreme Court ruling earlier this month that a woman and a man refer to biological women and men, and that the concept of sex is binary.
Fundamentally, this was a unanimous decision made by the Supreme Court. So if Europe does interfere with this, I'm frightened it's going to cause the death of the European Union's ability to protect our other legal rights, which we need them to protect, because the rapturous behaviour of modern politics in Britain is unquestionable. The Tories and the Labour are almost bedfellows when it comes towards workers' rights. They really are. And I know that might offend a lot of Labour supporters, but you have to watch what Keir Starmer does and what his government has said, not what your thoughts on the Labour Party are of past governments.
So Ms Cloud said she intends to apply to the ECHR to bring action against the UK for infringement of her Article 6 rights, which guarantee the right to a fair trial in both criminal and civil matters. She said trans people who wholly excluded from this court case, I appeal to be heard. 2 of us did. We were refused. The court heard no material going to the question of the fucking useless thing, and proportionally, and the impact of the trans people. It didn't hear evidence from us. The Supreme Court failed, in my view, adequately to think about human rights points.
That's bollocks. That's absolutely bollocks. And the reason that is bollocks is because this was a unanimous decision. You've got to understand, this isn't a minority position, this isn't a majority position, this was a unanimous position. So this is what worries me. Her decision to take this to the European courts could damage our European rights. In a fraught moment of history, whilst we're in the concept of trade wars, whilst we're in the concept of needing Europe more than less, Britain could be harmed if the political class decide to tell Europe to courts to fuck off, that have a knock-on effect to our trade agreements. I don't think the judge has genuinely assessed how this has a echo effect that's going to happen. I don't think they do. I think they've underestimated it.
The only thing I'm getting from this is that someone doesn't like the fact that it has been ruled in stone
what a man and a woman is.
What a man and woman is, and then I'm having a temper tantrum.
And again, this takes nothing away from the 9 protected characteristics.
I was going to say,
trans people are protected by the law already.
They've already got their own fundamental protection regardless.
Yes.
Yet they're trying to encroach on women's spaces, which are protected anyway. If anything, you should be turning around and saying, I would like my own space, not encroach on women's spaces.
Which again, as liberals, we're more than happy with. But you've got to understand that the conversation about sex being binary has been confirmed in the supremacy of British law. And this needs to be acknowledged. And I genuinely find, and I didn't even want to fucking talk about this, but I saw the reasoning because of Kemi Bennock and it rolled into one. But the realistic is that the trans community, and I mean them no harm, I genuinely don't, you are a percentage of the 1, maybe 2% of Britons who are gay. You are a percentage of the percentage. Why is this consuming British time and politics and industrial time frame? You do not make probably 100,000 transgender people in the entire United Kingdom, in a population of 70 million. The gay community, if we are lucky, are about 1.7 to 2 million people. You are a tiny portion of one of our minority communities. Now, I'm not saying we should mistreat any part of our minority groups, but you take up too much essence, taking away from real problems.
Basically, you're overstepping your mark.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm sorry, but you are. I can understand you want your own space, your own safe space.
Which is cool. Build it.
Fine.
Build it.
Go that direction and create your own space. Don't try to turn around and go, I'm a woman, when it's already been ruled you're biologically a man. I'm sorry, you were born that. Yeah?
The fundamental problem that I have is it takes up too much energy from away from already us not speaking about real fucking problems. Trains, water power, electricity, roads, housing, real fucking problems.
Things that affect everybody, not just your small-minded thinking.
Yeah, absolutely. You happy with that?
Yeah, I'm happy with that.
Fantastic. Yeah. Prince Andrew's firm linked to controversial PPE millionaires. Fuck now. I love the royal family. Just for clarification, I think the king is absolutely necessary. I believe in the sovereignty of our monarch. I believe the king and princes are noble people. Prince Andrew needs to be drop-kicked out of the royal family, bottom line.
I don't get why he come back anyway.
His brother wanted him. The king wanted him.
Then we get him come back as a...
Come on, I've told you before.
If it called an advisor or something to the king?
I've told you before. You know, if we were getting shot at, I would take a bullet for you.
You're the reason we'll be getting shot at. Let's get that right, yeah?
But that's what it is, yeah? That's the thing, isn't it? Let's be honest about this. That's why the king wants his brother back. It's the same thing. I'd take a bullet for you. It's irrelevant that we're getting shot at because it's me.
Basically, he wants his brother back as body armour.
Is that what you see me as? A fucking goddamn body armour, you cunt?
No, I see the psychopath. I'll let loose when things go wrong. Let's get it right.
So, anyway, once the Prince Andrew's prized business's assets was administrating for 2 years by a company controlled by the controversial millionaire Doug Barrowman, the BBC can reveal. After the Prince's disastrous Newsnight interview in 2019, legal ownership of his Dragon's Den-style startup company, Pitch at the Palace Global, was transferred to the Barrowman-linked firm Knox House Trustees UK. Barrowman and his wife, lingerie boss Baroness Michelle Morn, she should lose her title, hit the headlines when she admitted that they had lied about their links to a company that won large government contracts during the COVID pandemic after she recommended it to ministers. She should lose her fucking title. She should titles are not guaranteed. You're not the sovereigns. You are not the king, the crown princes.
You earn that title. You do something which fucks everything up. You lose the title.
Yeah,
straight off.
Absolutely, the baroness should lose her title. And I'm brutal about that. Lawyers for Miss Barrowman said he at no time had any business personal involvement with the Duke. This is bollocks. Pitch and Palace Global remains the Prince's company under his control, but in line with long-standing royal practices, it was owned under the names of others, people or companies acting on his behalf as so-called nominees. That a nominee controls a company. A nominee has some control of the company. Therefore, the disgrace is very real. Documents filed in the company houses show that in 2021, the nominee owner was Knox House Trust, which was controlled and ultimately owned by Mr. Barrowman until 2023. Why is this man still a prince? Why is Prince Andrew still a prince? I know this is controversial things to say, Britain, but sometimes you have to cut out the bad part of a family to let the healthy part of the family grow.
So I still don't get why he didn't just turn around, accept the fact that his own mother kicked him out of the royal family.
Yeah.
Yeah, his own mother kicked him out, basically saying, you're making too much of a shit show, you're gone. Go sit in a country house in the back of wherever and just live out the rest of your life. And
then his brother brought him back into the royal family.
There was no need to bring him back. I can understand if you want to consult with him on certain matters, you do that privately, out of the way of the public, with a telephone, Skype call, whatever these days. Consult him on a matter, because obviously since he is your brother, he has dealt with stuff like that, you can use him as a reference.
Absolutely.
But don't bring him back into the fold when he's going to turn around and create more fucking mess.
And he has done. He's done non-stop. Non-stop. Every other couple of months, Prince Andrew's bringing up some kind of disaster, some kind of mess, some kind of horrific problem we have. And it's going on ad nauseum. Your Majesty, A'udhu Billah, you need to let your brother go.
Take the title of Prince away from him and just turn around and say, I'm sorry, I'm doing what Mum did. Go live out the rest of your life in the back of the...
And I know it's his brother, you know?
But he has to turn around and balance everything out first. Just the fact, if he's going to bring his brother back in, it's going to harm everything, the reputation of the royal family.
It does.
The only thing that's going to happen if you keep letting it happen is people are going to start resenting you. Even though you're bringing a massive amount of money to the tourism, it's going to start affecting that eventually as well.
This is Republicans' wet dream. This is the Republicans' wet dream, that we've got someone like Prince Andrew still being held on to by the family. He should be let go. He is dead weight, and yet they picked on people like Meghan Markle and her husband, which realistically is minor compared to what Prince Andrew's dealing with. Yet Prince Andrew's still back in the royal family. Meghan Markle and
hasn't been seen again since. Actually.
Do you know what I'm saying? This is madness. Prince Andrew is beyond toxic. Prince Andrew is just he needs to be removed from the royal family, and that's to do good for the royal family. The royal family needs to remove him because of the damage he's done. Anyway, last subject for the evening. Police and prosecutors detailed shares with Israel during UK protests. The UK government shared contact details of counter-terrorism police and prosecutors with the Israeli embassy during an investigation into protests at an arms factory. Official documents suggest raising concerns about foreign interference. There is no question in my mind that the British Metropolitan Police are influenced by Israeli embassy staff and Israelis living here in the UK. There is no question the Met Pol are doing this. You only have to go back to the previous podcast when I was talking about Quakers, you remember?
Yeah.
Where they're kicking the door in of Quakers, who are the Buddhists of Christians, the most unviolent Christians you will ever meet. That tells you the level of influence that Israel has over our fucking police force in our capital. This is fundamentally morally bankrupt.
Why are we being influenced by outside forces?
You see, he doesn't even have a skin in the game, and he's asking the questions. He's not Muslim. He doesn't have skin in the game in the Palestinian-Israeli conflict. But still, we have a foreign power, in the most neutral way you can put this, Britain, a foreign power influencing our police for their interest in our capital.
Don't give a shit. Fuck off.
Literally.
It should be expunged from the Met Pol straight off. The frigging chief of police should go in there and go, You've been influenced, fired,
No,
fired.
that's the problem. The chief police are the people doing it, Chris.
Then he should be fucking fired.
But the Home Secretary won't do that.
Gain some fucking balls!
Just like the problem being is the Home Secretaries probably influenced themselves to allow this to happen. The head of the police is the Home Secretary. The Home Secretary won't police the fact of the police should act neutrally because it benefits the Labour donors. Remember, the new Labour donors. Labour have new donors now. They're not the unions.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
We don't know who they are. Tells you everything you need to know.
The corruption spreads high up the ladder.
Absolutely, it's garbage. Absolute garbage. An email was sent on the 9th of September last year by the Attorney General's office to Daniel 𝐃𝐨𝐧'𝐭, Israel's Deputy Ambassador to the UK, with the subject matter CPS SO15, Crown Prosecution Service, Counter-Terrorism Police, contact details.
Don't we have an outside force which can internally review inside the police force?
That's the Attorney General. He's not policed by them.
Shouldn't he then be investigating the fact that they're being influenced?
No. The Attorney General
Yeah.
of the United Kingdom, the Attorney General of the United Kingdom was the person who sent this to the embassy.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
So
Even the people I meant to check up on the police are fucking corrupt.
Yeah. The Attorney General of the United Kingdom was sending emails to the Israeli embassy.
So not only is Israel is influencing the fucking goddamn Met poll, he's got his fucking hands in the people I meant to check up on the fucking Met poll.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry, Israel, fuck off!
Alhamdulillah. I don't need to say anything more than that. Last August, 10 Palestinian Action activists were arrested under the Terrorism Act. They were never prosecuted. This is another thing why I think the Terrorism Act should be dissolved. They were never prosecuted by this. Acts after a protest at an Israel weapons factory in the UK. And in November, a further 8 were arrested under the acts related to the same incident. The email sent to Nicholas Smith, the head of the international law at the AOG, and obtained through Freedom of Information Acts required, were sent 11 days after she had met Ghrazan Echsenstein in what was it was reducted apart from the subject matter. Lyndon Dagestan from Kelly's solicitors, who represents some Palestinian action activists, said the information disclosed in response to the FOIL raises questions and needs further investigation. Why, for example, did the Attorney General's office provide contact details of Crown prosecutions in Britain, an independent body, to the Israelis? What further exchanges followed, and what was the discussions about ongoing criminal prosecutions? This is the fucking problem that we have. You can't look at this neutrally. This man is not Muslim. He has no skin in the Palestinian-Israeli things, and he just told Israel to fuck off. As an example, you only have to read this stuff to understand Britain. That the agnostic next to me, the man who's not sure about God, has a fucking skin to say, why is my country's police force and my Attorney General doing this monkey shit for a foreign country?
Shouldn't be. Fucking foreign countries get the fuck out of my goddamn police system. You got enough fucking issues like you bloody sticking your nose in. You stick your head up your ass and bury it in the sand.
In 2023, The Guardian revealed that in response to a redacted request from the Israeli embassy, the Director General of the AEGO, Douglas Wilson, replied as, "We noted the CPS makes its prosecution decisions and manages its casework independently. The law officers are unable to intervene on an individual case or comment on issues related to activity procedures." It's a joke. The fact that our police force are directly influenced, or subtly influenced even, by a foreign country.
Influence is influence. I don't give a shit whether it's subtle or direct.
By a foreign country. In both our policing and our arresting of civilians on British soil making protest on British actions. This is not even in fucking Israel. Why are the Israelis being noted to this? The Attorney General should resign. I genuinely say this. The Attorney General should resign, and there should be a formal public inquiry into our government's involvement with the Israeli state. And it is internationally recognised that Israel's Prime Minister is a wanted war criminal.
That just says it all, really, doesn't it?
Yeah, literally, the penny stone dropped there. Anyway, we've come to the end of our podcast for today. I have crap loads more that I could have done with that, but I think we'll leave that on that note. I think that kind of wraps it up very nicely. For everyone who's made it this far, thank you very much. We deeply appreciate it. If you've got this far, please like and subscribe, as we always do appreciate any of the comments. We try to answer all the comments that we can. As always, I'm John, Yahya, or Sean, depends on the fact you're asking.
I'm Chris.
And assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It's a pleasure having you.
And have a smashing day.